Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you very much for joining me here today. This is your one-stop shop for cryptocurrency analysis, among many other things. Now, I'm excited to dive into this one here. This is FIS. I've covered it a few times. It's a fan favorite for my community members, so thank you so much for requesting I cover this, especially to my Patreon members. Thank you, John. Really appreciate you. Moving forward, though, I'm not a financial advisor. This is for educational purposes only. You should do your own research at all times. Take ownership of your trades. Now, my goal is to make you more of an effective trader so we can trade for a lifetime, not just for one day. But if you're more of a casual trader, I have a pretty high success rate with my current signals that I send to my community members. I basically just share all of my trades in my community, and check that out in your own time. But it proved to be very beneficial for a lot of people. So I've had great feedback from that. So check that out in your own time, and also reference my Telegram community. Got a good group of folks there too. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and get to the charts. Let's check it out. All right, folks, let's go ahead and take a look at FIS. And just before we do, we look at Bitcoin and Ethereum first to get a baseline of the market so we know exactly what's going on, right? Because we want to understand what's up with the price increase here recently. Well, let's take a look. First things first, TradingView.com is my application of choice. I prefer this, works fantastic, better than anything else I've ever used for analysis tools. And I do recommend the paid versions just because it does allow for you to have more than 2 indicators present. You'll see here today I have a handful of them that I cycle through, and it's important to be able to utilize different indicators for different time frames. More importantly, I have a link in the description below for a discount. I think it's like a $30 off your first month, where you kind of get a month for free just so you can see what it's like. Check that out in your own time. So why don't we go ahead and take a look here at Bitcoin. So first of all, this is a 4-hour chart for Bitcoin, and I just like to quickly gain perspective on what's going on in the market, because there's been a lot of adjustments here today. Now, if you look at this, we've got the 50-day simple moving average and the 200. So the 200 is the purple line. Don't need to worry about that. But the good thing to note is that the 50-day simple moving average, you see how it worked as a resistance here. Back that was day before yesterday. Price came below, shot through it, shot through the support, or correction, the resistance, now a support of 40,000, and also the 50-day simple moving average. Price rejected off it twice, and the price continues upwards. So it's pretty standard, pretty normal. I think this weekend we might see the price fall below 42,500 based on the fact that weekends are a little bit slower, but we should expect to at least see what happens with the resistance levels or support levels, right? Are they going to be support or resistances? 40,000 is a strong support. I think if the price drops below 42.5, we'll see the bounce off of 40,000 again. But if it comes to a point in which the price stays above 42,000, that's fantastic. We can stay above 42.5 for the weekend, and we'll have a pretty good shot at another increase in bull run next week. But what we really want here is for the one-day chart to close above 42,500. It's trending towards that. We've only got 1 hour left in this trading session here. For the last 23 hours, we've seen this. I think it's likely we're going to close above, which would be great. Then we should be able to continue the bull run. But that's kind of the biggest thing to kind of pay attention to right now on Bitcoin. Major support at 37,000 as well, so just note that in case we do lose support of 40,000. I think it's unlikely, but I think there's a lot of short positions out there that are looking to take advantage of a declining price. But note also too, the weekends, the prices typically fall on the weekends, so I would not be surprised we lose 42.5 as a support, and it starts trending towards 40,000. Moving on to Ethereum here, taking a look at this, same scenario, pretty much just exactly what I just said for Bitcoin, only 2,900 for Ethereum. That is basically the same exact thing. So if the price can close above, we'll be in good shape to continue upwards. If it holds below, we might see some retracement from Ethereum. Honestly, that's a lot of increase in price over just a short amount of time. So I wouldn't be surprised if Ethereum starts trending back down a little bit and corrects itself. But with all the news recently with the Ethereum fork, there's a good chance that we're going to be able to see the price continue upwards as well. So we just want to be able to see 2,900 hold as a support. And if so, we can see that close in the one-day chart, then we'll be in much better shape to see that continue. But I do feel like we're going to see some sideways action from Ethereum this weekend, just based on the natural way in which things happen over the weekends. All right, so moving on to the one-day chart for FIS. And holy smokes, look at this. I can see why I get a lot of requests for this one right now. I mean, goodness gracious, 350% at its highest. Yeah, 340 in 2 days. That's insane. All right, cool. Let's take a look here. So let's dive in. So first of all, RSI, extremely oversold, or overbought, correction, extremely overbought. When it's upwards of 90, then there's a strong chance that it's going to retrace back down, as we've already seen, right? So that's retracing because it went that high. That's just too much movement in two days that it has to retrace. There's probably no sideways action, very little consolidation, and that's why this is happening. Furthermore, what on the MACD didn't even have a chance to diverge. It just kept on going. So this thing is on steroids. It's on drugs. FIS is taken off. I'm sure there's a fundamental catalyst. Please do your own research. Every time we see this kind of price action, there's something outside of the technical charts we don't see that's causing it to increase. Yes, Bitcoin did very well in the last 24 hours, but that shouldn't have anything to do with this. It does have something to do with it, of course, because obviously FIS isn't going to just blast off out of nowhere without, Bitcoin doing fairly well, right? I mean, if Bitcoin was doing terrible, we'd probably see maybe half of this action, but I think it's it heightened the experience, if that makes sense. And let's go ahead and take a quick look here at how the Bitcoin sell-offs occurred, right? Because it's important to note that, right? Because Bitcoin having sold off in the past, how does that react to FIS, right? How does FIS react to that, rather? So we look at the 17th of April, that's this guy right here. And then we had a strong sell-off here. So in that time frame from Bitcoin, when Bitcoin lost about 15 to 20% overall over the course of those 5 days, FIS lost, again, its lowest point about 50%. Okay, so it's heightened. That explains why when Bitcoin did well today, it shot up really high. It's like basically a 5x performer to Bitcoin. And then of course we saw this massive increase here. A lot of altcoins did this, but not this much. So strong retracements. I wonder what the volume looks like. Yeah, I mean, there's tons of volume here too. So, I mean, all in all, holy crap. Look at that volume. My goodness. Yes, something happened with FIS. I would recommend doing your research. I didn't do my own research here, of course, because I like to focus only on the technical analysis, but I can tell you there's a strong fundamentals here that drove the price up. But what we want to do is kind of disseminate how low it's going to go, how much further back down it will go, and what potential it has to come back up, right? So I mean, if we look back here, price action on the first day, it went upwards of about $4, what, 440, and as low as 315. So I mean, honestly, the average true range, if you see all the the range for FIS before the Bitcoin sell-off, it was in the $3 to $4 range. That's kind of a loose estimate. So $3 to $4 is the average true range for FIS. Now, right now, with the price exactly where it's at right now, 275, it's not far off from its previous average true range. So is that overinflated? Yes, it is. And the main reason why is because Bitcoin's at 42,000, whereas this price action, its average true range before, was with Bitcoin being at 50 to 64,000. So just think about that for a second. Is it going to come back up to this height? Perhaps. If Bitcoin can go on a run to 50,000, then yes, I think that's likely. But obviously, again, all fundamental catalysts aside, strictly technicals, FIS doesn't have a ton of room for growth at this point. I don't think it's going to continue to go upwards. Based on the technical analysis alone, considering the fact that it's close to its average true range, it broke through that already in this 24-hour period, and that's just something that we can't ignore. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the 4-hour chart and kind of see if there's anything else to extract here. Obviously, we're up over both moving averages. Moving averages are very skewed at this point, considering it was such a such little movement up until now. And then obviously we see the RSI coming back down under 70. That's pretty standard right there. That's usually a good point in which you want to sell or trim your position, depending on when you get in, and obviously what kind of position you're holding. Hopefully you didn't fear of missing out up at about $4. That does happen sometimes. But if so, then let's go ahead and see if we can identify a good exit strategy for you. First of all, not much else to really note here. We got convergence August 4th. Yeah, so it's really hard to anticipate this increase here, honestly. I mean, that is just a massive ramp up. It was kind of preparing for it right here. But let's look at the 1 hour and see if we have... Now, I do like this a little better. So good news is in the 1 hour chart, we have some sideways action. So this isn't even though there's a lot of growth in a short amount of time, we did have up, over, right? So there's a chance we might see a leg up again here in the near future once it continues to consolidate. So there's good news here. There is a simple fact that FIS could continue to recover. Traditionally, when you see this kind of increase in 2 days and it hasn't had any volume at all in the last 24, anything prior to the last 24 to 48 hours, then there's a great chance that we're going to see the retracement come down about 50%. And what I mean by that is if you look at the 1 day chart and we take the difference of 50%, just say you would take this whole scale right here, we cut it halfway, this is about 50% right here. So we're probably going to see a retracement come down somewhere at about 236 approximately, as just an average of where the price usually retraces to when you have this kind of increase. pending no support and resistance levels. Now there is a support level here at 230. So why don't we just go ahead and make this 230 instead? And that way we can kind of just use that as a kind of a potential support level. Now we could also look at the Fibonacci retracement tool. That does help us in situations like this. We just kind of go from here up to there. As you can see, it's pretty close. It's right in the middle. So 50% usually splits the difference. It's usually 40 or 60%, but I like to go in the middle. So yeah, I would say we can stay with that. Let's go ahead and move on to the 15-minute chart. See kind of what that's looking like here. And let's go ahead and take a look at the EMA VWAP. Prices under EMA. So we did lose that EMA. So it basically means that the bears are potentially in control right now, and we are under support, which is the VWAP line here. The blue line is the volume weighted average price. It just takes the volume the last 24 hours, express it as a price, and that tells us right now that the price is below 2 support levels, or correction, it's now under resistance, and there's no more support minus this $2.30 that we already identified. Okay, so just something to note. We're kind of in this channel right now, so I'd wait to see if the price tests and bounces off of 230 first, and then if it does, consider adding to your position. If it bounces up again and kind of comes above the VWAP here and the EMA and holds for just say 30 minutes, that would be 2 solid 15-minute green bars, then that might be a consideration for entry as well. But to me, honestly, all fundamentals aside, I think that it got extremely overextended, and that the price action between $2.30 and $3 is going to be kind of assumed for a little while. If Bitcoin can start trending back towards 50,000, then we're going to see FIS probably jump up past the $3 range and stay between $3 to $4. Okay, that's just kind of my thoughts, my considerations based on everything that's happened here so far. It's really, really insane movement here. I'm surprised I didn't catch this any sooner. This is an interesting one. So thanks to my community for actually recommending that I cover this here. And my patrons, you're all fantastic. Greatly appreciate you. Thanks again for bringing this to my attention. And also, if you'd like to consider being a patron, feel free to check that out. I share all of my trades with my community members, and I usually trade about 80% success rate overall, plus or minus depending on the month, of course, but really close to about 4 out of 5 good trades. And I take somewhere in the range of 1 to 5 trades per week. It does vary depending on the market, but I share all that with my community members, best practice, and everything you need to know to kind of be more of an effective trader. So if that would be helpful, you find that to be interesting, check that out in your own time, and hope you have a good rest of your day. Thank you so much for joining me here today. We'll see ya. Take care.